Yeah, so basically, like when it comes to movies, I feel like recently I haven't really found too many movies that I've liked in the past couple years. I don't know if that's because I'm older and I suck, or if it's because of nostalgia when I look back at older movies. But I came up with, which you did as well, which I'm excited to see, a list of my top 10 all-time favorite movies.
So what you're saying is you're a boomer?
Um, yes, I've been
Nice.
trying to hide it from the media, but you
We
just
have a
exposed
special
me.
guest today too, by the way.
Oh,
The
we do?
Unabomber. Thank you for being here.
Uh,
Why again are you just like an extra from 8 Mile?
oh, I mean, I don't know.
Is
I
it
just
just
thought it looked
like,
cool.
is it a look? Oh, okay. I didn't know
Well,
if
I
there
wake
was
up
like a reason.
I wake up, yeah, I wake up like this every day. And I
Oh,
brush my
okay.
teeth like this, take a shower. Like I can't change. I'm
With the
stuck.
sunglasses?
Yeah, they're glued to my face.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so let's get into it. So I'll start with number 10, which
Okay. I
I
want to
hope
start with
this
a
is.
disclaimer before you do that, though. Just
Yeah, go ahead.
because I know we're going to get a lot of shit for it. These are not, we're not saying this is an objective list of the top 10 movies ever. Because,
Right.
first of all, we haven't seen any of all of the movies ever, so we wouldn't be able to make a judgment on them in the first place, first of all. Second of all, I personally haven't seen a lot of the classics. Like, I've never seen any of the Rocky movies. I've never
Ooh.
seen any, I haven't seen Titanic. There's a lot of Chris
Uh,
Nolan movies I haven't seen yet, so I can't make a judgment. I don't even feel comfortable making this top 10 list because I haven't seen some of them yet. And
yeah,
also
that's a good point.
because there's a lot of objectively great movies that didn't make my list, like Citizen Kane and Shawshank Redemption, for example, that are great movies. But when it comes to my personal favorites, it just doesn't make the cut. So I don't know about you, but that's my disclaimer.
No, I I completely agree. I mean, Shawshank Redemption is one of my favorite, but it's not in my top 10.
Yeah,
Just like you. Yeah. But yeah, for everybody watching, like this isn't like don't come here and watch it and be like, wait a minute, like how is this the number one movie of all time? This doesn't make sense. But this is just what we think. So, my number 10, which I hope is on your list, which some people might not even know about, is Beavis and Butthead Do America. That's my number 10.
you know what? That is
That
on my
movie.
list, but it's not in my top 10.
Uh,
That's
okay, I had
it's
to
in my
put it.
top 15, but it's not in my top 10. Just missed it.
I had to put it there. Oh my god, I love Beavis and Butthead. They're hilarious. But yeah, that's my number 10.
That was the first movie we saw together.
It was. For everybody watching, now you know.
So for my number 10, I had a hard time picking between Logan and Deadpool. Deadpool 2.
Ooh.
But I went with Logan just because Logan was actually my introduction to the X-Men franchise. That was the first X-Men movie I've ever seen, and I actually hadn't seen any of the other ones to really know the character of Wolverine. And I'm not a comic expert, obviously, so but it was still it made an incredible first impression. I had to actually go back and watch it again after I saw Days of Future Past and all the other great X-Men movies.
Oh yeah.
But the reason I love Logan is because it's dark and gritty, which seems to just always work when you're making a comic book movie. And I think when you think of characters that you can make dark and gritty, obviously Batman is one of them. And Logan is something that if they hadn't made this movie, I think everyone would be clamoring to see a Dark Knight style uh, Wolverine movie. And I think that's what we got here with Logan. On top of it, I was just astonished. Like Hugh Jackman is obviously a phenomenal actor. He's incredibly talented when it comes to acting. But that little girl that played his daughter, that was quite a performance. What was she like
Oh yeah.
12 when the movie was
Uh,
made?
yeah, 12, 14, maybe even younger, but she was great.
Incredible, yeah. That was a terrific performance.
That is a great movie. I love that movie. Oh my gosh. It was sad to see. Well, I don't want to spoil it if you never saw it. Actually, I'm not gonna say it.
You can spoil it. Go spoiler
Oh,
warning. Go ahead.
yeah, Logan dying. I mean, it's pretty obvious, but like that was sad because I love Wolverine.
Yeah, I think the saddest part is that he won't be in the MCU. That's the biggest saddest
Yeah,
part about
yeah,
that.
him and Ryan Reynolds together. Oh my gosh, that would have been great.
Yeah.
Um, so my number 9 is The Dark Knight, 2008, with Heath Ledger and Christian Bale. Oh my
You're
gosh,
gonna
that
get
was
some heat for putting it at number 9.
I know, I know. I mean, I love Batman. I grew up loving Batman. He was one of my favorite, still is one of my favorite heroes, and just the way Christopher Nolan portrayed him in that, I thought was like the best portrayal I could see, because before it was like the cartoons or the really crappy 80s movies with it, and Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze, so it was kind of like, like, all right. And then these came out, and I was like, finally, he gets the recognition he deserves as a hero.
That Gotham deserves. For my number 9, I have another Batman. This one is Joker. Todd Phillips' Joker. We've heard enough about this movie already, so I won't go too deep into it. But obviously, the performance from Joaquin Phoenix, even though he's a lunatic, and it was absolutely the right choice to play him, because I don't think he was actually acting in that movie. I think he's very Joker-esque in real life, but obviously a well-deserved Oscar for that one. The story was phenomenal, and it's a movie that I think unites all the boomers that subscribe to the Martin Scorsese philosophy of cinema, and all the comic book fans, and all of them really enjoy this movie. So that's my number 9.
That's a good pick. I wanted to put it on there, but I didn't. It's in like the top 20,
Oh, no doubt, yeah. What about, where would you rank it in last year's movies?
Oh, probably number 1 or 2.
Yeah, that'd have to be my number 1.
Oh yeah, my number 8, which it's an old movie, but I know you like it. Terminator 2.
That's on my list. 8. Yeah.
Love Terminator 2. I mean, I like up to Terminator 4. I like, and after that, I was like, well, what the hell's going on here? But Terminator 2. I
think Terminator 4 is overhated.
Yeah, I thought it was a good wrap up of like how it was in the actual future.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just because I like Christian Bale.
Yeah, probably. But yeah, no, Terminator 2 was like, it always just hit me watching that movie. Even now, if I watch it, I just like, there's so many iconic parts in it, and that's why it's number 8 for me.
Yeah, I'll talk more about that because it's on my list too. But for number 8 for me is another Todd Phillips movie, The Hangover. It's just it's the second funniest movie on my list. I think it's so good because it kind of takes away the cringiness that you'd see out of most comedies in this style, and actually puts it in a fun atmosphere that, even though it's a pretty scary thing to lose your best friend in Vegas and be responsible for him and try to get him back and find out that you married a stripper and like all the shit that happened, it would be still pretty fun to have all that happen to you. And not to mention, even I think one of the most underrated aspects of film is cinematography. The cinematography was incredible in it as well. I think a lot of comedy movies look like they're just filmed on phone cameras, which some of them, they don't need to be done professionally, but I think that always makes it look better. So number 8, Hangover.
Nice. All right, I like it. I've only seen parts of that movie.
You gotta watch that. We'll watch it when I come back for the summer. It's
all right.
Hilarious. It's so good. You're gonna want to buy tickets to Vegas like the second after you don't finish the movie.
We'll go after we watch it.
All right, sounds good.
My number 7, which it's a franchise, but I picked a specific movie out of the franchise. This is a big one. The James Bond franchise. I own and have seen all 23, 24. I think 24 is coming out this year.
Damn.
Of the James Bond movies from 1969 till now. And my favorite one would probably have to be Daniel Craig in Skyfall, which came out, I think, 2012, maybe? 12? Oh
yeah.
My gosh.
Spectre was 2015.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
Skyfall was great, and Daniel Craig was great. And, like, the main reason I like it more is because when I watched it, it was, like, newer effects, better cinematography, because the older ones were great, but they were, like, in the 70s and the 80s, so it wasn't always the best, footage. But I love the whole idea of James Bond. So
I've always wanted to see a James Bond movie. I haven't seen one yet. I wanted to start with the Daniel Craig ones. The Casino Royale I heard was good.
Oh, Casino Royale was great.
Yeah. My number 7, I actually have The Dark Knight. So we've already talked about that. Obviously, everyone knows about it. Heath Ledger made the entire movie. It's a shame he couldn't be around for the next one. But yeah, enough has been said about that. So I'll just leave it. The Dark Knight, you know why.
Yeah, we know. We don't even have to explain it. My number 6, which I think you might have seen. I don't know. Pulp Fiction. I don't know. Have you seen that?
I have not seen that, but that's on my list.
Yeah, Pulp Fiction is like besides it being wacky and all over the place, and you're not really sure what's going on.
And brought to you by
for
Harvey
90% of the
Weinstein.
movie. And yeah, unfortunately that too. Yeah,
Yeah.
That movie was just. I mean, I love it. I watch it 100 times, and I don't, just the conversations between John Travolta and Samuel Jackson are just great. And it's just such a fantastic movie, and it just keeps you guessing the whole time, and that's why it's number 6 for me.
I'll have to keep that high on my list. Number 6 for me, and I'm gonna get some heat for this. I put The Dark Knight Rises over The Dark Knight.
Oh.
And
No.
the reason I did that, and I'm gonna get heat from you for this.
No.
But the reason I did that is because the way that they followed up such a fantastic villain like Heath Ledger in the last one as the Joker. I think if they didn't do that, this movie would have gotten so much hate that no one would be talking about it. But Bane was so incredible. I recognize, like I said in our rewrite video, that The Dark Knight is the better movie, but I think that The Dark Knight Rises gave you more to chew on, and I think while they did juggle a lot of crap and there were a lot of problems, which we addressed in our last episode, it was still an incredible follow-up to another incredible movie.
All right, I like the description, but I mean I'd have to respectfully move Dark Knight above Dark Knight Rises, but no, it's good though. They're both great.
Of course.
My number 5, which I don't know if you've seen this one, with Russell Crowe, Gladiator. I don't know if you've ever seen
I have
that.
not seen that, no.
Gladiator is it came out in I think 2001, and it's directed by the guy that does Alien. I forgot his name. He's a well-known director, but of course I forget his name right now.
I haven't seen Alien either, so I
Yeah,
don't know.
It's a fantastic movie about the Roman general Russell Crowe who gets betrayed and becomes like a fighter in a coliseum and like a slave, and it's just like this. It's a fantastic, long, like 3-hour movie of just. It's incredible. It's hard to describe it. You just have to watch it.
All right, I'll have to take a look at that one. For me, I think from this point forward, I'm not going to rank them, so I'm just going to give you like a 1A and 1B because my top 5 was just too hard to pick for me.
Okay.
It's all these movies. I actually couldn't even rank the top 10 as kind of like a loose ranking, but especially the top 5. So with that being said, I'll go 1A is Prisoners. I think you said you haven't seen that yet.
Oh, no, I
right?
haven't. I have to still see that.
That is one of the best movies I've ever seen acting-wise. I think that literally everyone who played in that movie could have won an Oscar. You had Hugh Jackman, who turned in probably the best performance of his career as far as what I've seen from him, which is really saying something coming from someone like Hugh Jackman. Jake Gyllenhaal, obviously another phenomenal actor, turned in a phenomenal performance, especially with the details that he put into his character, Detective Loki. You could tell so much about his past just by looking at the guy and seeing his body language and movements. That's incredible. Even the kids and the wife and the villain, who I don't want to spoil it for you, the villain at the end, you totally don't see it coming. It's a huge twist. A lot of people said it was predictable. Maybe I'm just an idiot, but I didn't see anything coming that was in there. It was so well written. Phenomenal director, Denis Villeneuve, I think his name is. He's a French-Canadian director. He also did Blade Runner, the new Blade Runner movie. I don't know if you've ever seen any of those. But he directed that one too. But The Prisoners is one of my number ones.
Oh, I should see that then. I almost forgot about that.
We'll watch it. It's good.
All right. Okay. My number 4 is Wolf of Wall Street, which I think you've seen.
Are you on 4
right?
or thought we did 5?
I did 5 before you.
Oh, okay.
So I'm on 4.
Okay.
Wolf of Wall Street, which I'm pretty sure you've seen. Right?
Yeah, I've seen that. That's a good one.
Yeah, that movie is just so well just shot, and just the comedy and the storytelling, and Jordan Belfort and how he got caught, and the whole business world and all that. It was just a good movie. It's just an entertaining movie from start to finish, and I don't know how you could not like it.
Yeah, I saw it when I was like 14, so I don't remember it too well. I need to watch it again, but I think if I watched it recently, it'd definitely be in my top 10. I just haven't seen it in a while.
Don't watch it around any family members.
I actually watched it with my grandparents. Big mistake.
That's bad.
They actually liked it though. They thought it was good.
Oh no.
My number 4 is Captain America: The Winter Soldier. This is
Great.
my. It's not actually, but the reason I have this list have it so high on this list is because when you think of a character like Batman, you can make him dark and gritty. When you think of Wolverine, you can make that dark and gritty. Maybe even Iron Man, you can do that.
Yeah.
But with a character like Captain America, they took pretty much just like a symbol. It's like making an Uncle Sam movie. Right,
Sure.
it's just like
Yeah.
it's a symbol. He wasn't really the most interesting character. He doesn't have any special powers. He's just strong and fast. He's just like above average athleticism. But they managed to take that and make an incredible story. One of the most serious MCU movies, which I really appreciate. And they even took minor characters like Black Widow, and I think that's when we really started to actually care about the character in this movie. Chris Evans was fantastic. The elevator scene was fantastic.
Oh, that was great.
And I'm going to catch heat once again for putting this above The Dark Knight, but I think it even improved on what The Dark Knight had to offer just because it was so flawless.
All right. Yeah, I agree. The Winter Soldier is probably one of my favorite. I have a couple friends who are like, "Oh, I hated that movie. It wasn't good." I'm like,
Who
what?
hates
like,
who hates The Winter Soldier? Like
some
what
people
are
know.
they watching? That
That's
they
what I'm
think is
saying.
good that they hate The Winter Soldier.
They like Guardians of the Galaxy, and I'm just kind of like,
Okay, there you go. That explains everything.
Oh man. All right, my number 3, which is another franchise, but I'll pick one, is Lord of the Rings franchise. Return of the King is my favorite, the third one, which a lot of people are gonna be like, "Oh, the Fellowship of the Ring is the best," but I like Return of the King the best. I love all those movies, the mythology, the whole storytelling. I watched it when I was growing up. Like, it came out in like 2000 and like ended in 2003 or something. And they always capture me. And the fact that to this day the cinematography holds up. It's like 20 years ago. It still looks fantastic. So
Absolutely. I'm not a big mythology fan, but I can definitely appreciate a good story. That's why a lot of the movies on my list are super grounded, like the Dark Knight movies and the Winter Soldier. But for number 3, I have another relatively grounded movie, Iron Man 1.
that's great.
Obviously, the first time I saw this movie, I was too young to appreciate it. But I have, to this day in 2020, never seen better CGI done on a movie than Iron Man. And maybe I haven't seen enough of movies filled with CGI, which I don't think a lot of people aspire to watch. But some of the scenes in there, you cannot tell they're computer generated at all. I look specifically at when he was suiting up to go kill the terrorists in Gulmira, wherever they were from. Especially when the helmet comes down on his head, you can see the smudges, the fingerprints, the scratches. 100% of that
sick.
scene, other than RDJ's face, was CGI.
Wow.
On top of that, you add in the way that Iron Man was already an interesting character too, but all the pieces came together so well in this movie that now Iron Man is like one of the top 1 or 2 characters you think of when you think of Marvel. So I think they just did such a phenomenal job on that movie, so that's why it's my number 3.
That is a great movie. That pretty much started off the whole MCU. I mean, that was before Disney even owned it. I'm pretty sure. I think, right?
Yes, they bought it 2009, so that movie pretty much sold the entire Marvel company to Disney.
All right. Cool.
Not to mention the incredible way that they actually, if you look at all the other like Avengers movies that he was in, even Iron Man 2, which was still good, and Iron Man 3 with the CGI, it actually genuinely looked like in the dogfight scene that there was a guy in a suit flying around. You couldn't tell that it was CGI at all. It was just unbelievable. And it makes sense because this was actually the last movie that Stan Winston worked on, who most people don't know, but he's one of the best with effects ever to set foot in Hollywood. He actually is responsible for the effects on Terminator 2 Judgment Day too, which were
really?
obviously revolutionary at the time. He was responsible for all of those.
Oh, all right. I'll give him props.
He also
then.
did Jurassic Park too.
Oh, that's it. Like the old ones, the old Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Wow. Ooh. All right. Sweet. My number 2, which is another franchise, but I'll pick one. Star Wars. I love Star Wars. My dad grew up watching it. I grew up watching it. Revenge of the Sith is probably my favorite. So I really don't like the new 3. they're all. I mean, like if you watch Star Wars like I did, I think you might agree. It's all over the place, no direction. They just kind of spit them out for money. People are probably gonna be like, "Oh, that's not true. It's so good." No, now if you're an old school Star Wars fan, like myself, you'll like me and all my friends agree. We're just like, yeah, it's whatever. But Star Wars is always like, I mean, just like when I was younger and just seeing Darth Vader for the first time, you're like, "Whoa, who the hell's that?" Like, it's just a cool feeling. So that's why I picked
Yeah,
it.
you know how I feel about Star Wars, but
Yeah.
that the only issue that I have with these kinds of movies and Guardians of the Galaxy is that they expect you to believe that these human characters are some aliens from Mars that live on different planets. It's just too much suspended disbelief for me.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
I
Yeah, that's fair.
definitely respect the creativity of George Lucas coming up with that. I was a fan of the Indiana Jones movies when I was younger
Yeah, they're
because that was
good.
a little
Yeah.
bit more grounded. Even when I
Yeah.
was a kid, I looked for stuff like that. Even though now I'd probably not like it as much with the aliens and shit. But I've only ever seen the ones with what's his name from Transformers.
Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah, that one. That's the only one that I saw, and I heard it sucked compared
Oh,
to the other
that
ones.
yeah. Oh, that was bad. The
Yeah,
alien skull thing.
but
Crystal
that's
Skull.
definitely on my list. Yeah, Crystal Skull.
That's what it was.
But the first three are definitely on my list to watch.
Oh yeah, they're great.
For my number two, my favorite comedy movie ever, and you gotta watch this again because this
Oh, I know.
to me this movie can never ever be replicated again. Even if you got the same guy to play him, if you got the same director, you'll never ever be able to make something like this again. Obviously, because one, it was done on the fly, and two, because Sacha Baron Cohen's humor has evolved in I'd say a pretty bad direction with the whole PC wokeness. But Borat is just the funniest thing, especially if you have foreign grandparents like I do.
Well, yeah, it's
Like both
definitely yeah.
both of my grandparents, I could film like a Borat sequel with both of them, because it's so accurate to how and you feel for these immigrants that come legally, obviously, to America, and they try to assimilate with the culture, and they're trying to be as respectful as possible, but there's such a huge world out there and such cultural differences that you can't help. You're gonna piss someone off royally eventually.
Oh yeah.
And that's all he did in Borat. But just the comedic timing by Sacha Baron Cohen, the fact that they filmed this on the fly, there will never ever be another movie as good as Borat. It's been tried, it's been attempted to be replicated before, even by the same people, and they haven't done it, and they will never do it. But Borat is just a work of art.
I agree. No, I agree. I've only seen parts of it, but I thought it was hilarious.
You gotta
for
watch
the parts
I've
saw.
seen the whole movie like 4 times. It's that good. Minimum 4 times, and I've watched the clips 1,000 times.
All right. So drum roll. My number one movie of all time is Batman vs Superman. No, I'm just kidding. It's not that one.
Martha.
Oh my god. I want you to shoot me if I pick that as my number one favorite movie of all time. Now, I don't know if you've heard of this movie, but it is a star cast movie. The Departed. It had Leonardo DiCaprio, Mark Wahlberg, Jack Nicholson, Matt Damon, and Alec Baldwin was in it for like 3 scenes or something, and probably got a Grammy or something. No, he doesn't have a Grammy, but the movie is about a police department in Boston, and Jack Nicholson is a mobster. Mark Wahlberg is a cop in the division. So is Alec Baldwin, and so is Matt Damon. But Matt Damon got raised by Jack Nicholson, kind of. So he's a rat for him, but like he in the police department. And then Leonardo DiCaprio is a struggling cop trying to become a cop, but they give him a chance by being a rat for Jack Nicholson. So the story is like 2 rats trying to just fight their way through like to trying to survive, and it just ends in this like bloodbath and like twists and plots and this and that, and it's just really cool. And the ending scene actually has like a rat scurrying across like a balcony just to like, oh my, I've watched the movie like 8 times and I just love it.
I've heard of it. I have to check that out. That's gonna be on my list. I actually have a list of stuff that I have to watch. I'm probably people are furious that I haven't seen some of like the most classic movies ever, and I'm sure it would be different if I finished my list. But just there's so much of a time commitment to finish all those.
Oh, it's tough. It's tough. No, it is. But yeah.
So my number one, which is once again kind of like a 1E at this point, because I really can't pick out of these top five. I have, as you mentioned earlier on, Terminator 2. The reason I have it at number one is just because of what it means to me. It's one of the first critically acclaimed movies that I've seen. I saw it when I was like 12. Obviously, Arnold is a huge figure in both of our lives because we're into movies and fitness. And
Yes.
Obviously, when you think of like fitness and bodybuilding, Arnold's the first person you think of. Also, not to mention what Stan Winston did to the movie industry with these effects. He kind of indirectly spawned all of these, and it's not a good thing to give him credit for, but all of these CGI filled movies. I think without what he did on T2, we wouldn't have the MCU just because it's so heavily reliant on effects that he kind of brought into it, obviously, with the first Iron Man too. Robert Patrick was a phenomenal T-1000.
Yes.
He's actually an awesome dude. I follow him on Instagram. He's like super like down to earth.
Oh, he was great.
Likes guns, likes a lot of the stuff that we like.
Yeah.
So and Sarah, what's her name? Linda
Sarah
Hamilton.
Connor. Oh, Linda Hamilton.
Yeah, Sarah Connor. She was just the way she trained to get into shape for that movie, and it was believable. You see a lot of these movies nowadays where they have these female lead characters, and it's like this little 5'4" midget just taking out like 6'5" black guys left and right? Because
Yeah.
women equality.
Jiu-jitsu,
But if they actually put in the work that she did, talking about strong female characters in the movies, they would actually done decently because that's what we want to see. It's not that people are sexist and don't want to see badass women. It's that they actually have to be badass without you just telling us that they are.
Right, like if
Let's
you put
make
like a wimpy dude in a movie, everybody like, who the hell's this guy? Like, why is he here?
So the reason that I have it so high on my list is because it really shaped so much of the movie industry, so much that we still have lessons to learn from it. Hollywood still hasn't learned from it, so hopefully we do in the future.
I hope so, but they just like to beat dead horses for money. And they remake everything. How many times
Obviously not, because they look. You don't have to look any farther than T6 or whatever it is. Right? Look what they did to that.
True.
They didn't even learn it in their own franchise.
Oh man, I didn't even watch that movie. my dad watched it and he said it was like mediocre and not that great.
Lesbian Terminators.
Yeah, he was telling me about that. He's like,
Yeah.
it's kind of weird, and I was like, okay.
No, I'm happy it tanked. I was planning on going to see it, but once I saw all the woke messaging in it, I said no way.
You're like, I'm gonna just stay home and watch Prisoners instead, which I
Yes.
need to do.